Confused about what markets to include in your Neds Same Game Multi? Or is the game about to kick off? With Neds' popular Same Game Multi, see what bets are trending with like-minded punters and simply add it straight to your bet slip within the app. Think it needs more? You can customize or add more legs for bigger odds quickly and easily within the Neds app, so you can take it to the Neds level. Take it to the Neds level. Download the Neds app now and look out for the popular Same Game Multi tab. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Aces, I know I always talk about the RIXXs, but I got to offer you the discount again. In case you've forgotten or in case you're sleeping under a rock, we have a special discount code for everyone that listens to this podcast or watch the podcast. It's Aces. Head online to rixeyewear.com.au and use the discount code ACES and you'll get 20% off. That's right, 20% off, 1/5 at checkout and free express shipping. So head online, rixeyewear.com.au and check it out. Righto, let's get back into the show. Welcome back to the Aces Premiership Countdown. I'm not Felix Von Hofe. I'm trying to be him right now. The man has gone down with laryngitis. So if there's a time to have a fever, there's finals fever. And when I think of finals, I think of Nathan Broad, the 3-time Premiership player from the Tigers. Welcome, Broady, and the super coach. 16 on the trot into a prelim for Werribee. Boys, welcome to the Aces Premiership Countdown.
Hey, good to be here. But Nathan Broad, built for September, doesn't know what to do with himself this September because the Tigers, mate, just not their year, eh?
No, not our years here. Thanks, Train. Good to see you, mate. And Mickey, yeah, not our year this year, but yeah, it's a bit weird. I don't know what to do with myself. B&F's booked for post-finals. Right in the middle of our yeah, so I'm a bit lost what to do, but got a new bub, so she's keeping me busy.
And congratulations on the new bub. 2 dads in the house.
That's it.
Yeah,
let's talk a bit. What's it like?
Little girl, yeah.
Girl dads.
We're going to have a bloody good AFLW team coming up in about 20 years or so. We've got Cotchins, Rewalt, myself. There's pumping out girls down at Tigerland.
Yeah, that was a trend, wasn't it? Even at Freo,
They always said
a lot of girls, Ballas, Sandilands, girls coming out everywhere in the Dockers.
I did read something.
And athletes, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
Athletes
it's the warm testicles or something, isn't it? I mean, that's what they say. It's something about the warm testicles.
Well, the Speedos keeping them in there tight, warming them up.
Apparently, that's what happens when you're a male and you're an athlete. You generally have girls more often than not. But anyway.
But let's talk about it. So you've had the bub, how old?
A month on Friday, yeah.
So you had it late in the season. How did that impact you? Well, first of all, how was the emotions and how did it all go and how's the feeling now? And just a quick transition into being a father and playing footy.
Yeah, it was it was a bit of a shock to the system, to be honest, as you know. Had 2 games to go and it was tough going there for a bit. Sleep's still not going great. She's up every 3 hours. So, long nights, but it's awesome. As you know, everyone always says it's the hardest thing you'll do, but it is the best thing you'll ever do. But to dads that have a baby mid-season or start of the season, hats off to you because it's tough going. I'm a 10-hour night guy, 10 hours sleep my whole life 10. Pretty much. Yeah, like even growing up school, I'd be 10 hours every night, and now I'm going into
Captain Snooze.
Yeah, gee whiz, I thought I was bad with 8.
5 to 6 hours. I'm a shell of a human. A few days.
Krusty the Clown, because he'd come into training on a morning, just crust all through his eyes.
That's not true. That's the first time he's ever called me Krusty the Clown. I might have come in tired, but I never had that shit around me.
It would have been sleep. I reckon she might have been a few late nights at Ambar or something.
Yeah, a bit of that for train. Ambar, where was that? Is that Leader?
In the city, the dungeon down there. Yeah.
We'll get to the off-field antics soon.
It's a while since we've been to some nightclubs in Perth.
Yeah, it is. But it's a new bub, off-season, best and fairest book for post-grand final. I want to bring up Dion Prestia and following him on Instagram and see what do they do? They were dressed up as... where were they? Where were they? And what were they doing? We'll obviously get the little snapshot of where he is in the world and what he's wearing, but it was odd.
Yeah, we had Mad Monday, which we do every year, and there's no theme on Mad Monday. It's just make sure you put in some effort, and we don't have any photos or videos. It's pretty secretive, our Mad Mondays, but their kits were too good not to post. So Richmond posted it. They went as the Hobbit and Gandalf, and we're out at the Yarra Valley at a winery, and there's a scene from, I guess it's The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings or something, where they're chasing it and they reenacted it, as I'm sure Braid will pick up on, and it is absolute gold.
I saw Soldo put it up. It's just perfect.
They've got me hook, line, and sinker. I thought they were in Scotland or something.
I
just thought they were on a trip, but that was
that was our Mad Monday.
Oh,
so it was
and housemates as well. Just great chemistry and Soldo and Dion, the size of the
best dressed by mine.
What'd you go
as? Oh, it was a bit of an in-house joke of mine. I went with someone that's one of the staff at the club. So a lot of in-house jokes get done at our Mad Mondays, which is always very good.
Brilliant. When is the last time you had an off-season like this where you weren't playing finals? Can you remember it?
Oh, no. 21? No. I don't know. We went out in the first final last year. 2021, I don't know.
When did you get drafted? Because I was thinking about this on the drive in. Mature age recruit, we'll get to that in a second. But came in 17 premiers, 19
premiers, 20 premiers,
20 premiers,
8 in prelim, and
so finals, 3 premierships, all bloody bliss in the world of Nathan Broad. But when did you get drafted? And talk to us about probably finals compared to the regular season and how you guys have had so much success with the attitude you have.
Well, obviously. Right time, right place for myself. I was a late bloomer at AFL, same as you. And then came in end of 2016. It was pretty dire straits, to be honest. It was, end of 2015. And 2016 was, it was not a good place to be. We had I remember having a sign on the ping pong table saying, do 20 minutes of touch before you can play, and sign on the lift, take the stairs and all that. And it was just, we were clutching at straws there for a bit.
When you're losing, you're really losing.
You do. And luckily I wasn't there pre-2015, but that was bad days too. And we were clutching at straws. And end of 2016, obviously Dimmer went away to America and did this course in Kochi and all that stuff, came with vulnerability, and we started, and it just changed the whole club. We just had this new lease on life, and we just made the club one place. There was no segregated groups. Everyone was one place. And from then on in, we just, went on this absolute streak. And it's been ridiculous. It's been amazing. But finals footy and regular season footy is a whole different kettle of fish. One, you need to have fit people on the park, which helps, obviously, but also you need to time it. Like in 2018, we won about 15 in a row. Not going to lose the granny type stuff. Get to the prelim, and Collingwood absolutely
have 15 minutes where they just go.
Mason Cox just turned it on, and so you really do have to time it, and that's why I think the Giants, your old mom T Train, I reckon they're the smoky to look out for. They've contested ball. Kings has got them flying up there, and they're timing it well. Their last 2 games have been outstanding. So a little smoky for mine, the Giants.
Talk to me about Kingers, because you know him pretty well.
Yeah,
I don't think I've asked anyone about Kingers.
Funny story about Kingers is true. He came in from Saints, very hot, extremely hot, just a bit of a sergeant, drilling into it, and we were in our new transition phase, lovey-dovey.
You were playing, you were playing ping pong without doing 20
There's no touch anymore. We're just smacking ping pong. We're catching the lift. We're loving each other. We're barely working, and Kingers comes in and he's just rah. And leadership group had to sit him down and say, hey, we don't, it's not like that here. We obviously have tough conversations, but you can relax and take a step back. And once he got that feedback and that, he just became the King as the person, not King as the coach. And King as a person is just one of the best blokes you'll ever come across. He's an absolute ripper. And I'm so glad he got the job, because I think he got pretty close at a few other clubs. And he was pretty disappointed, I think, not getting those jobs. But he's an absolute ripper, Kingers. I'm a bit disappointed he went last year, because we might be able to have him this year as a head coach with Dimmer going. So that's a bit heartbreaking. But I'm loving everything he's doing.
He's turned the place around. I was really concerned about Giants' list being quite young, and then Toby Green and Cogs and all those boys are all kind of 30 now. So you're like, can they? He's just click the fingers. They're now, what are they? Where are they on the ladder? I can't remember, 7th or whatever.
They finished.
But they're playing such a wonderful brand of footy, and they can beat anyone on their day, like you said. The only team they haven't probably watching when they played Port, they didn't rock up. That was the only game the last 12 they haven't really rocked up, and it's pretty exciting.
He's very funny, very dry humour, King. If you see his first speech to the club when he rocked up saying he's the new coach, and that he chucks a few gags in there, and the first one goes down like a lead balloon. And there's nothing from the boys, and you're just saying, shit.
Would that affect him, or no? He just get on with it?
Affect him. At the Tigers, they would have pissed themselves, and I'm new coach here, and it just went down like a lead balloon, nothing. But that's King. He's very dry but very funny. He's a ripper.
So good.
So and want to jump back to your career, and we were speaking just off air about. So mature age recruit got picked up at
22.
22, perfect. So, and you're a big advocate for, a big believer that has helped you have the longevity you have in the game, and probably the work-life balance and the perspective of being a professional athlete and enjoying the successes you've had?
Yeah, I reckon, or I know for a fact, if I'd got drafted at 18, when most people do, I probably would have made it to 21, 22, and I would have been out the door. Lifestyle
Were you
choices.
close back then?
Yeah, I had 18. I was close. Colts we call it back in WA, but TAC Cup. I was probably had 5 or 6 clubs with interest in that, and it was a bit heartbreaking not to get it. But after that, I played Resi's footy. We had a pretty strong league team, so it wasn't close after that until the year I actually got drafted. But yeah, I would have definitely not have made it this long in the system with just lifestyle choices, just the way I handle myself professionally and stuff, and then been a plumber for 3 years on apprentice wages, trying to earn a quid. You get a bit of a reality check.
You get the spoils in, Mick. You don't, no trailings in the back line when you're thinking, I could be back down there in the pipes cleaning someone's turds, or I'm going to, just get the fist in there and play me role every week.
Exactly right. But like you said, I'm a big advocate for get out of school, do a job for a year, something, and prove you've done it, and then come into the system, and it would make careers last longer, and I think the quality would go up.
Do you think that's the case for everyone though? Like, I'll play devil's advocate here just to keep the convo going, but the first rounders these days, you see the Ashcroft, your Dacos, like I'm naming the top tier, they're ready to go, and they've had a bit of a, they've had the AIS program, and they've probably got, their fathers or whatever, they've had some insights into the AFL that some others haven't. But maybe the ones that are coming from the deep end and, they're the late bloomers and all that, you're saying they'd be better off going and getting a year in the, and getting a job?
I think there's room for both, Like, and I know AFL clubs are really well resourced to be able to professionally develop the draftees and the young players coming in. But there's probably not the edge on it that is required, because if you're getting 150 grand a year or whatever it is when you come in and you're playing games, there's not the edge like Brody would have had to have being a plumber to eat and pay bills and whatnot.
And play footy at a high level on the weekend.
Commit 70. So these guys, and I'm jumping in a bit, but like the way he's got to his career is by doing a 40-hour job and then trying to compete and train like a professional athlete to actually just get in the door. So that, all of that skill set just gets him in the door and gives him perspective, but also like that dog-hungry attitude when you get there to survive. But I think there is like scope to increase the development of these, professional development of these young draftees to footy might be 70%, but then 30%. What's your 30%? Like what's your course or what's your trade that you're looking to do? I think it's a big perspective builder for some of these guys.
I think the Melbourne Storm, they do it really well. So you get drafted to the Melbourne Storm, and then your first 2 weeks, they send you out onto the job site. But what you got to do is you got to say start at 6 a.m. and you finish at 3, and then you got to come into the club. And then you train with I'm not sure what they're called, but then they train and they do that for 2 whole weeks. Monday to Friday, you get your weekends off. Yeah. And like through that 2 weeks, like I've spoken to a few of the Storm boys because we do a leadership crossover with them, and the amount of like how good it is for their development and their perspective on how good actually it is, it's awesome. So you could do stuff like that.
I think that's something that the AFL could
like,
easily
Dacos on the hammer and
hey, I'm sure.
Well, I've got to coaching. I was
just about to ask you about this because you would see these players coming through and they're competing as a 16 in a row, Mick. We're going to talk about the coach in a second.
One in a row, mate. It's what happened last week. But what no table tennis to touch. I haven't got a table tennis table, but I had an example last night training a player. I was actually on the rub down, my back's been playing up. So I was just getting a bit of a square up, the hips squared up. But I have a player that's been on the jackhammer all week, and he's playing pretty well and going well, and he's in the side at the moment, and the physio had to write him a note to say, can we somehow get him some lenience on the jackhammer to be able to perform in if we play whoever we play Brisbane or William, they're playing an AFL list of players, and my boys are out there jackhammering away for 40 hours a week before they have to go play on Kai Loman or something like that.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Like, was he jar the back, has he?
He looked a bit ginger going down for his ground balls last night.
Boss will look at it and have one look at it and go on the jackhammer,
it is quite remarkable. And not to labour the point that I have huge admiration for the guys that I coach, because some of them walk in black and blue from work, and I'm quite like, I'm a full-time coach, and sometimes I do lose the perspective of they get there at 5, I've got a meeting at 5:45, you want them to be sharp. But the boys have been up since 5, and some of them shoveling and going hard, and in the summer it's hot and all that. And then, you've got to sometimes rewire yourself to have that empathy with the player that, gee whiz, they've put in 10 hours. It's been hot. And now you want them to go out and do a 12K footy session. It's whilst it builds character, it's bloody they're hard yards while you're going through it.
It's important that you get, I guess, you know what they're doing on the side. But yeah, you're right, mate. It's a lot of respect to all those blokes out there that, you know, done what you've done, gone and done a full-time trade, then rock up. And as we know, VFL, when you get into this business end, they're playing against AFL players that just can't get in the team, and they're probably pushing for a spot or a contract. So it's not like it's easy. So big shout out to the Werribee boys. Good luck this weekend. While we're talking about finals, I just want to get your view on, before we go through what we think is going to happen and a few other things. I need to ask you about something on the weekend in a minute.
Smiling. He's got something.
Yeah, he knows what's coming. But I want to just stay on this a second. What is the difference between finals and regular season in your opinion? Because nerves go up, everyone gets excited, way more media. Like you talk about external noise, it goes through the roof and it gets people, you know, off. I saw a clip of Koch last night actually on his new show talking about how he started thinking about all these things that happened in the past and then he had to go see Crowie and just reset his brain because he had all this anxiety about performance and all that, you know? So what is it that finals did for you, like especially your first one?
We were very lucky. We had Emma Murray come to the club at the start of 2017, which everyone knows who Emma is now. She's amazing. But finals footy, like the crowds go up, the weather gets better, Melbourne's buzzing, marquee tents start getting set up. Like external noise is just through the roof. But I reckon like this finals footy is so simple. It's just fundamental footy and who can do it for longer. And that's why we were so lucky to have Emma Murray, who could feed all this like smart, good information through to our coaches, which then came through the playing group. At finals footy, you don't need to do anything grand, anything different, be the match winner. It's just execute your role and do the fundamentals for longer. Because reality is pressure builds, people try and go outside their skin or they go inside their shell. But at the end of the day, if you can just execute your role and do it, it goes a long way. And I think finals footy is, who can do it for longer.
What are some examples in your 3 premierships? Have you got like a specific example that you've seen kind of something like that just happen visibly?
Obviously, I've seen Dustin visibly happen, but he's probably not a fundamental footballer.
Fundamentals are shit that I'm looking at thinking,
just outside.
Pressure makes diamonds, baby. And
I think of players like that you played with, guys like, you know, David Ashbury. Dylan Grimes, the guys that, you know, roll and yourself. Like I think within that back group,
they're trademark clips that still stand out. You know, when you go on a Monday review and it's the 1%er kind of package. Is there some clips that you can still remember?
Well, that was Dimmer's best thing. We never ever talked about stats. We never showed highlights, anything. It was always the little things like Jason Castagna and Dan Butler, these small half forwards who would like run to the boundary line for a kick, get back down, and then they'd also pressure, which was that's what we always showed. But Grannies, I can't think off the top of my head too much, but I know prelim against Geelong, we were down by about 4 goals at halftime. Not the granny, but a prelim. And I remember Dimmer just saying, like, we need to just do the fundamentals, what you can do in your moment and execute your role. And I remember after that, there was a few, like, Kochi had a few just, like, critical contests, one-on-ones, some big spoils and stuff like that, just little things that you slowly can chip away and take momentum back slowly, because momentum in finals footy is just, like you saw in the grand final against Geelong with us, came out after halftime and we kick a couple early, and then momentum, you just chip away, and then you can slowly get on top of teams.
Sounds simple, doesn't it? But if you're 5 goals down, like you're not going to get the 5 goals at once. So
that's why a lot of this stuff comes down to this mental training with like people like Emma Murray, and we call it anchors. So like an anchor is like what you can do at any moment in the game, scoreboard, weather, where you are, what ground you're on, something you can do in that moment, training even. That is like a little trigger for you to be like, all right, this is what I need to do. So a lot of blokes is like bounce on your toes, and then maybe clench your fists, and then maybe communicate with someone. So it's like a 3-step thing that you can do, and it just gets your brain like thinking, all right, now I need to go. So you're always in the moment, because you can find yourself just drifting off with the fairies, and before you know, you're like, fuck, 10 minutes has gone by here, or fuck, I wasn't ready for that and I got caught out. So the game's a lot of mental stuff involved, and I think we were the catalyst to start it, but every single club's got an Emma Murray now and got all this stuff and heavily invested.
It's well said. I'm thinking, I'm just listening to these.
What are your triggers?
Mine's bounce on my toes, so up and about, head up, and then communicate. Because I find if I'm communicating to, say, train, I'm instantly not thinking about what I've done wrong or what's coming next, but then also saying to train like, hey, get on the outside or something, it triggers train to go, oh yeah, shit, I need to get on the outside. So you're no longer thinking about, you know, the mistake you made, or maybe you're not thinking, you're communicating, connecting, and it's keeping you engaged.
That's a good point. That getting out of your own mind to think of others, and then all of a sudden, you're not thinking about mistakes or even things that went well and getting ahead of yourself. It's just staying in the moment, staying switched on. It's only, as we know, 120 minutes or whatever. So if you can get through doing all that, it's great tips, Mick, isn't it?
We had a couple of first years playing the last game of the season down back, and obviously the back lines for us has never changed. We've had 7 go through, and then if some retire, the next 7 they play the whole year. It's just one steady. Well, we had a few injuries and stuff, so we had 2 debutants playing at half back, and they just said, like, what do you need from me? What do you want? What do we do? And us older blokes just said, just ask questions out there. Just say, like, what? Because by asking me a question, I'm thinking, shit, now I've got to actually think of the game plan and tell you what to do and help you, and then you're helping me. So it's amazing how much you can help each other out there just by communicating and little things. Yeah.
How quickly are the Tigers going to bounce back? So we've missed finals this year. When September, you're sitting here not knowing what to do with yourself, but signed on for 3 more years.
Yep.
Great effort, isn't it, for Brody? 3 years.
It deserves every penny.
Agreed. Not sure what he's on, but should be on more, is my opinion. We can maybe put that in your next contract. Or is this your last one?
I think Blair Harley listens to this podcast. So, Blair.
So 3 more years, new coach announced, soonish or whatever that looks like. How confident are you within yourself and the club that they'll bounce pretty quickly?
Yeah, we had a great meeting on the last day after all the exit reviews. We had a full team meeting and spoke about like what it looks like going forward, and everyone left there with so much positivity. Like obviously Dimmer left mid-year. We had Koch go, Trent go, a lot of things that went wrong. Lynchy went down. A lot of things that went wrong and probably took a bit of an emotional toll on the group. And we just spoke about like what has been, and that's the past. Now it's time to, clean the slate, come up with a new, like this is Richmond going forward, and this is new leaders to evolve. Now it's your club to grab it by the horns and do what you want with it. We're going to have a new coach. So we left there thinking like, this is awesome, bring on preseason. Like, and all the boys like, fuck, I can't wait for preseason now. Yeah. So I think we can bounce back really quickly. Obviously Big Lynchy, you get 50 goals out of him a season, it makes a huge difference.
Big hands, big bloody awkward, clunky Tom.
Yeah, big clunky Tom. You forget how good he is.
He's got that many fused fingers, the big fella. He bloody walks around like this.
As long as they can go straight, mate.
He's one of the greats to have a beer with, but you don't know you're having a beer with him because he's got a pint and he's got his hand and it just swallows.
And his middle finger's fused, so he has a pint and he's sorry about
it.
But no, I think we can bounce back quick. We're really positive.
You and Lynchy going to win the Melbourne Cup, are you? You got a horse.
Hang on, this is my next question. Don't you dare jump into this.
Sorry,
I need to.
Oh no,
this is touchy. No, there's a reason why.
You got to fill out the paperwork, get it back to the board.
Well, I don't need paperwork. Felix needs them. I don't. You know what I mean? So this is why I wanted Brody. This is why I had a smirk before when you go. Tom's got a smirk. Sulkham. It's a great success story. The boys have all bought into a horse. Yeah. It's the Melbourne Cup favourite.
They can't miss
last campaign. It wasn't as good as we all thought. So everyone went, ooh, not sure. Anyway, it's gone to the paddock and it's come back and it's a Melbourne Cup horse, right? So on the weekend, I don't think it was Melbourne Cup distance. I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
Yeah.
Bit short. Anyway, so I'm watching. I was with my uncle, my old man, my cousin, and I'm like, that's Brody's horse. That's the Tigers boys' horse. I'm looking at it, $22. I go, there's no way this thing wins first up. It's trying to win the Melbourne Cup. Anyway, so
just a born winner.
And I've told Brody last time, send me a message if it's going to win. So I'm watching the race, Mick. The last 100 metres, it was like Usain Bolt hit Nos. It's just fucking sizzled him going through one by a length. I could not believe it, mate. Well done on the win. I'm still waiting for the message, but how excited are the boys? Explain that for us.
Yeah, well, he obviously came over from Europe, won a big race over in Europe by 10 lengths and came over and first up in Australia, won the Queen's Cup, absolutely blitzed them by about 4 lengths, became the Melbourne Cup favourite post that, and then had a couple of runs that just aren't. The Melbourne Cup's 3,200 and it needs minimum, or we thought minimum 2,600. So its next preparation, it was no good. It trialled no good. It was nowhere near it. So everyone got off Sulkham and all these new imports and all this stuff and went out to Mount Macedon, did its training, all this stuff. Anyway, long story short, it had its first run on the weekend. Chris Waller trains it and he's sent out a message saying, look, this is just a warm-up. It's 1,700 metres. It's half the distance it needs to run. Hopefully we can it doesn't get out of the barrier as well, ever. So hopefully we can just get out, settle about third last and finish midfield. We'd be wrapped with that. All right, perfect, beautiful. No, all right,
it's all good. You're not going to send a message to train if that's the feedback, are you?
I've got all these people messaging me, train, family, mates. We getting on this thing? No, don't bet. This is just a warm-up race. Anyway, yeah, we spoke to Blake Shin, or Blake Shin spoke to the trainer. He let us know after that. He reckons he felt like he had a Ferrari underneath him. He goes, I haven't experienced a horse like that in a very long time. Yeah. It's favourite for the Caulfield Cup and the Melbourne Cup now.
Yeah. Oh, it's favourite for both.
Favourite for both,
Mate, how exciting is that?
Oh, it's unbelievable. Honestly, it is. It's unbelievable. Obviously, had a lot of success at footy, but the day it won the Queen's Cup, which was a Group 3 race, not even a Group 1, that feeling was very similar to winning a flag. It was just unbelievable. So if we can,
imagine if he gets the double,
if we can get the Melbourne Cup, it'll be one for the ages.
Unbelievable.
I'd love to win it. Don't get me wrong. Anyone would love to win it. But I just love
party. Where's he?
we'd love just to be in the race. Funny story about after party. So this ownership group that we're very, very fortunate to be in with John O'Neill and Aussie, they're obviously the pinnacle of racing owners. They had incentivised and Very Elegant in the Cup a couple of years ago, and incentivised was the shortest price favourite Cup in almost history of the Cup. So we went and then Very Elegant's won, knocked off incentivised at 20-something bucks for the Melbourne Cup. Yeah. We've gone to the after party and you walk in and all the waitresses are wearing incentivised colours on the TVs, all incentivised. Everything's incentivised stuff. But they own Very Elegant too. Yeah. And Very Elegant's knocked it off. So, great success story.
The Quinella. Did the boys back both of them?
No, we were all incentivised. Yeah.
That was the male.
Yeah. That was the male that was going to get up and win. So, but very fortunate to be in with that ownership group. They're very, very good. We have another one that potentially could run in the Cup too. Promises kept. Needs to win in a couple of weeks, nominated for the Cup. So.
It's exciting. I can't think of a time I know someone that has a horse in the Melbourne Cup. Looks like Melbourne Cup's a pretty boring day besides the massive race. Like all the other races, there's big fields, very hard to pick a winner. But Cup Day, generally just kind of clutching at straws.
Hayden Ballantyne and Nick Subin owned the Perth Cup winner back in 2000 and I reckon it was like 11.
That was my first year, 2011. And I don't think Subs even watched it.
They were at, there was some festival out in the Swan Valley. They were out in like some amphitheatre with no reception, and they won it. And Ballow's phone was going off, and he's figured out that he's won. I don't think the horse was even in at the start of the day.
Yeah, it's like 50 to 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then he shouted the bar. He shouted the bar at this bloody festival, and true to Ballow's luck, he's a real tin ass, but he's paid. He reckons he's paid for 100 cruises or whatever it was around the bar. And the next day he checks his credit card statement and it didn't go through.
Oh, wow. So he's just winning.
So everyone's got this perception of him that he's very generous with his time and money.
Remind them that he's a tin ass.
Yeah, he's shocking.
So if you win the Melbourne Cup, let's talk about that. What would you do for your mates?
Geez,
let's go to if Hayden Ballantyne's won the Perth Cup and Brody wins the Melbourne Cup or and the Syndicate, mind you, what would you want the after party to look like?
Well, when we won the Queen's Cup, we carried on like we were bloody the rich and famous. Got the chopper out of there.
Did you?
Yeah, we carried on like
Was Dion there? He'd be someone in the chopper.
Meatball's not in the syndicate for that one.
In this syndicate, we offered him to buy in. He's in every other horse, but this one.
There's always one.
And then we offered him a 5% of Rewalt's share. A couple of months ago, and he and now he's going, I'll have some now, mate. Too late, mate.
The meatball.
It'll be one hell of a party if we do manage to win the Melbourne Cup, even the Caulfield Cup. If we can win the Caulfield, there'll be some parties. So.
I think you probably have a party anyway, wherever
I'm sure.
You'd be concerned that you're not going to get many odds now. Being Richmond's one of the biggest football clubs. How many owners in this horse? Can we remind everyone who owns the horse from Richmond?
Yeah, so Jack Rewalt, Tom Lynch, Jack Graham, Liam Baker, Jaden Short, and myself.
What a crew!
Yeah, great crew.
That's a great crew.
The Punt Road Syndicate, we're called.
Punt Road Syndicate.
Yeah.
So the Punt Road Syndicate, they're going to have a lot of people following the Punt Road Syndicate and the horse Solcombe. So I'd imagine your odds are going to be coming right in for every race it has till the end of the year.
Well, I think it's got the Turnbull Stakes coming up over 2,000 metres, which, it's paying $11 at the moment to win that, and I think it should be favourite, to be honest. So
anyone in that race, who's the favourite in that race?
There's some good runners who ran on the weekend. Alligator Blood, I reckon's in that, and Mr. Brightside's in that race. So, tough race, obviously, class horses, Group 1 horses, but if it produces what it did on the weekend, I think it can knock them off.
Blake Shin felt like I had a Ferrari underneath me. Well, if you probably by the look of your face, you haven't seen the end of the race. You watch this; it just gets out of traffic and
got windburn.
Oh, it hit Nos at the late end of the race. It couldn't
get a run either, so it's held up a bit, and then it's just gone bang.
For a horse that's meant to win the Melbourne Cup, it was super impressive.
Oh,
they're got a big chance.
It's like putting Usain Bolt in a marathon. You shouldn't be able to do it, but
well done, mate. Well done.
Very good.
Let's get to footy finals. Before we get through the teams and all that, I want just to ask you about Carlton. We're going to get to the head-to-head, but do you feel like Carlton are on the way up like you said you were? You just said said, when I come into the club, we weren't allowed to take the lift, the table tennis, all that kind of stuff. I feel like Carlton's gone through a lot of hard years, but now they're really starting to spring. And if you look at their form, obviously they played the Giants without Doherty, without Cripps. That's leadership, not only talent on the field. They've had a great rest. No doubt they've got all their troops back. Do you feel like Carlton are about to pop?
Yeah, probably not from the other years, but this year in particular, because they wanted Voss gone. Everyone was calling for his head, and it would have been a bad place to be for those few months there. And then I don't know what they did, but they did something which turned it around. And whatever they did, I reckon that could be a massive success for them this year, because, as you know, it's all about timing and hitting the ground running and getting belief and energy and all that stuff. And they've obviously found it mid-year, which is very tough to do. And now they're holding on to it. So, they're a very good chance.
Who are you we'll start with just who you, right at the start of the finals, who you're tipping for the Premiership?
The Premiership, Brisbane.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, Brisbane.
I do it with all my sport, even NFL and all that. I go, who's been in the window for 4 years, like sustained success? Brisbane's been knocking the door down for a while. This year, they're healthy. They've got, they're at home. So if they win that they haven't lost at home all year. They're
going to get to the prelim, you'd think, because they've got to win one of them.
Yeah. And I just think that, as you said, it's actually a bit of timing as well. And I don't think they've played their best footy yet. So I'm really interested, this first final, if they come out and go bananas, which I think, by the way, I think Port Adelaide are a very good side. If they show if they beat them convincingly, oh, mate, I'd be staggered.
Who's winning it, mate, from your point of view?
I'm going to go the Giants.
Really?
Yeah. Kingers, yeah. I just feel like the footy
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Oh, it'd be incredible. I just think the footy they're playing and the template that they've got, I think why not? They've had some big wins away on the road and they're going to have to do it tough. Obviously, they've got a tough road to get there, but you win a couple, you get belief.
Why not? I've noticed Harry Himmelberg saying why not. Yeah. It's a bit of a thing that Kingers has said at the start of the year. Is why not something he said at Richmond as well?
Yeah, why not us? That's all we always say. It's got to be someone. Why not us? Have belief.
I like it. Deion Sanders
Yeah. And
I love Deion.
You knock a couple off early, these teams that have had, a week off and a little bit of relaxing, they'll think, geez.
Remember the run they went on, and you smacked them by 100 points, some of the grand final, but that week when it was the big sound and everyone, I was not invested with anyone, but I was like, I'm kind of all in on the Giants here because everyone was getting behind their story, and you were on the other side of it and smacked them on the day. But
they ran out. They had. Not defending the Giants, the times were unbelievable. They went into the grand final as banged up as you could possibly. Witters is coming out of, he had appendicitis. He come out of hospital, that week. You got Matty DeBoer running on one knee. Yeah. A few players, I think Toby missed a week. Not that mattered. They just, and the Tigers were flying.
That's like the
you guys were flying
devil's
as well.
Advocate against your tip is there is a trend of these guys coming from outside the 8. The Doggies in 21. Sydney last year, the Giants that year, where they come from
deep
eliminations and the emotion takes you so far, you get to that grand final and usually the side on the other end is kind of primed, has had a week off at some stage and just go pop.
Yeah.
This year's got something different to it though. I feel like this year...
Yeah, I feel like there's no real standout for me this year. It's just anyone can win, as we've seen all year. Anyone can win, so yeah, why not?
Why not, he says.
Why not?
You, Mickey? What do you reckon?
Yeah,
I'll go Brisbane. I tipped them at the start of the year, so I'm like, you kind of want to stick with your conviction. And,
there's no reason to jump off.
And I'm looking at they've fallen over a couple of times at the G, but they had that game.
They beat Melbourne last year at the G.
Well, they lost to Melbourne late in the year at the G, but they owned that game, and they would have learnt a shitload from that. They lost by a point. Malcolm kicks that goal.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that was a game where they've shown, against Melbourne, really good side, they've dominated them, up by 5 goals. They fold in the last quarter. But if you're going to have that experience and use it as a learning and
still finish 2.
And validate that you've played pretty well, but you've just missed out in the last quarter.
And going through the others, we're going to go through them, but Collingwood, Melbourne, a few injuries, you know what I mean? If everyone was stacked, Collingwood's got, I'd probably be putting my hand up for Collingwood. Melbourne's still yet to show they can kick a score, and they've just lost Melsham, who's a forward, And yeah, as I said, Dacos, Moore, how they going. So anyway, let's get into it. Let's just go through the tips. Obviously, Brody, we've got you here. Felix normally sits here. I'd sit there. Me and Mickey got a tipping competition. I'm almost got the red flag up because I think you've got.
I'm home.
I think you got me by 3. So I don't know how I'm going to get 3 back in the finals without a punishment yet set. It's not.
There's a punishment for the loser. So we're thinking
it's not set, and you're home.
It's not set.
Oh, I like this one.
That's a good spot to be.
There was a horrific one for the Sheridan. That was a horrific idea.
On the V-line from Melbourne to Sheridan and back 4 times or something. I thought it was a pretty good one.
A 10-hour trip. Gee whiz.
Would you rather do that? Go from Melbourne to Sheridan to Melbourne to Sheridan to Melbourne, like 8 hours on the V-line, pretty much full day, or go for lunch on your own, but with a cardboard cutout of yourself? What would you rather do?
I'd go the Sheridan line.
So right.
I'm going with the cutout. I'll just have me lunch. Have me lunch. Take the piss out of me. Take your photos. I'm here for a reason. I'm eating my lunch. You can take the piss out of me. I think it'll make people smile. I'll feel good about that, and I'll leave.
I want you to do that.
I'll happily do that.
Jack Graham always does these things. You would rather this, and the other option he always does, the second option is run as fast as you can and then jump onto your knees on bitumen.
Just end on your face. Actually, I wouldn't have too many issues because I wouldn't hit it with much velocity.
I'd probably rather that than the cardboard cutout.
Yeah, the cutout would be funny. Right, let's get into it. AFL finals. Here we go. Week 1. We have the Pies taking on the D's Friday night at Thursday night. Thursday night. Yeah. As this comes out, so this podcast will come out. So Thursday night football. We are up against it. Hopefully you tune into this and then you get the insight. We have to drop this a bit earlier, Brad. I didn't know that. The AFL all over it. The Pies are favourites. Just a little bit.
They've got a business plan to bring you down.
They're all over it, I said, not all over me. Righto, boys, let's get into this. The Pies taking on the D's. The Pies home game, but it is at the G. What are we thinking?
I'll go first. I think the D's win. Like their midfield. Brody makes a great point before, and he's been there and done it. The importance of contest and the basics in finals. And Melbourne, for me, around the ball, they've got some issues in front of the ball, like their forward line. What's their setup look like? But Oliver, Petrarca, Max Gawn, experience, contest, organised backs, May, Lever. I think they're looking quite good.
Yeah, I'm going Melbourne too. I actually caught up with someone this morning who's right into their stats, and they were telling me that over the last 5 years, the top 5 finals players that have gone up percentage-wise on player ratings, number 1 ranked, Clayton Oliver. Sorry, that's in the final series this year, so it's playing. So Dustin's out of that, obviously. Number 1, Clayton Oliver. Number 5 was Christian Petrarca. So obviously big game players that stand up. But yeah, I think the D's get it done.
This man's a man made. When he finished playing footy, made for the media world and special comments.
When you win 3 flags, you can do whatever you want. And
they're going to come at him.
Being an absolute ripping fella, he's going to be walking straight in.
Number 2, fun fact. Here we go. Number 2 was Jack Higgins, actually. So, went up 94% come finals time. Only played the 2 finals.
Former Tiger.
Yeah, it was both, obviously, Tigers games, but only played the 2 finals, but went up 94% come finals.
Jeez, he's a good player, isn't he? We'll get to him in a second. He just always kicks goals. I'm going to go the Pies.
Okay.
I think I was very impressed with their defense last week, and I think it's going to be a good game. Last time these teams played, it was 4 points the difference. Melbourne just got them. I'm just a little concerned about Melbourne scoring points, So I think Collingwood's, proven that they can score, and they're just tightened up a few things. And with Melsham going down, I just think their forward line's a bit all over the job.
Tom McDonald playing his first game for 12 weeks.
Yeah, that's
Hibbard coming back in first game for so they're Goodwin's backing his boys, backing his.
Sorry, Collingwood confirming Mason Cox and Cameron with hail and a lot of rain. So very interesting. But it'll be a very contested, low scoring.
But it's going to be I think it's going to be within 10 points, 6 points. It's going to be tight. It's going to be a cracking game. So
an absolute shit fight. Piss and rain. Contested ball, very close.
There you go. So I've got this is going to, my tipping's over if the Pies lose, but if they win, I'm back in the hunt.
Chance, mate, chipping a chair, isn't it?
Mickey out to Sheridan and back a few times.
I do that for fun.
Yeah, he goes to the family, mate. He's a king of Shep. Righto, let's go to the Blues at the G Friday night, taking on the Sydney Swans. This game's set to be an absolute cracker. Remember, the Blues, I've seen so much media already. Yeah. I saw the last team that played a final. Would you say it's going to be would you say this year would be a failure if they didn't win this final?
There's no such thing as failure. Failure is feedback.
I didn't want to say the word failure. Give me another word.
I think if you're a Carlton person heading into the year and they said you're going to make finals, I think they would have been stoked.
Okay, let me reframe.
I think
Do you think this season will be a success if they lose this final?
Well, everyone's after the ultimate, aren't they? So you're always going to, unless you win the premiership, you walk away bitter and twisted at the end of a season.
But if you're on the board, like you deal with them now. But I'm saying you got your plan. I'm saying
plan.
This is what happens though. They go end of the year. They go.
Yeah. Well, look, I think they've had a good year.
Now we're here.
I think they've had a good year because I still was pessimistic on them making finals this year. So from my point of view, I would think they've done well. I'm not going to use failure and success. I think they've had a good year.
So it's a pass mark if they lose.
That's a great point.
I think especially from where they've come from calling for Voss's head, can't win a game.
Their brand.
Mid-season to pull it back, you'd have to sit back and look at that and go, geez, we did something very good here and we can use this now going forward.
Very well said.
I love asking the questions. I don't have to answer them. It's just
Sydney win.
Sydney?
Yeah, and I know that people won't love that.
Are you going to hand that the tipping competition? Are you? I'm going with the Blues.
Yeah, you're getting on board the emotion and
they're at home though. Like it's
Sydney
MCG Carlton at home. It's how many are you going to have? Like Richmond, Collingwood, Carlton.
But Sydney I love the Sydney Swans because forever they've been a side a bit. They're a bit like the Why Not Swans. Like they're a side and have been forever that they're like good. Like bring it on, bring 90,000 and we'll run out. Rampy, Goulden, Parker. They've got guys in there that the good players in every shot.
Yeah,
but I think they've got and they embrace. I think that off Broadway spot, like they're in Sydney, off out of Victoria where it's not as bright light. So they just love that. I think they're a side that love the 23 versus 90,000, and I think they're going to harness that. The Blues will harness the 90,000. So there's two different tales being told, but I'm on board the Swannies.
Tough one. I'm probably jumping on Carlton just for emotional side of things. Cripper, first final, win a final. Melbourne would be buzzing, but I'm torn with that game. It's very tight, very tight.
I've been a big fan of the Blues, and I want to see them succeed. So
if we've gone different in the first two games, so it could all be. Hey, well there you go. If you get. It's
it should be down by one, but I generally think in the bookie, that they're favourites as well. So they're not seeing it as close as we are in the room. Just think the Blues have got a lot of firepower up forward as well. You got to remember that, Paddy McCartan's no longer there, unfortunately. Buddy's gone down. Is that click ready to go? Who knows?
The next one's come in, Hayden McLean and Marty.
Exactly right.
He's come in, Logan McDonald.
One thing we know with Sydney is their brand has stuck up for that many years. It's like a classic.
They've had 1 year, 2017 or 20, one of the COVID years they finished
the Pittsburgh Steelers of the AFL, they just play finals every year. St Kilda taking on the Giants on Saturday at 3:20 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. The Saints will be at home. It is at the G, as I said, against the Giants. My boys, Broady's boys as well. Mick,
Saints.
You start.
Saints.
Oh, you're going to go with Roscoe, the old coach. Do you think Ross can stop the Ferrari at the G? I thought at Etihad, as we said, he's tactically very good. But can Rossi and the boys get the defence and stop this unbelievable attack off turnover?
I've looked a little bit deeper into this one. Like the Saints, mate, they've got, and rightfully so, people jump on the Giants, right, with what they're doing and how they're playing. And,
Giants are favourite, by the way.
Are they?
The Saints have no right really to be where they are in terms of what their 22 will look like. So Owens is a second-year player.
Star.
Not sure if Caminiti will play or get a game, but he's contributed all year. He's a first-year player they plucked from bloody Heidelberg or something. Wanganeen Miller, I think, is probably coming top 3 or 4 in their best and fairest, contributing strongly. Mason Wood, there's two different ends here. He's a guy that was over in the corner. You're not good enough. You're done. He's now nearly an All-Australian squad winger. So there's stories all through the St Kilda. So I'm looking a little bit. They're a blue collar operation.
Do you relate to the Saints more? Do you?
I love the hard luck story. They're writing them off.
Bondi, the Orange Tsunami.
Every team I've tipped, why not?
Yeah,
so why not the Saints?
It's bizarre that we're going to go different 3 at the first.
She could be all over.
And to explode, I think Tim Membry will explode. He looks like, for me, a player that he's been out all year. and he carries a fair bit of maturity for that forward line to. You'd have played a bit on Tim, would you?
Yep. Yeah. Double foot jump, Tim.
Yeah,
very interesting.
Double footer.
It's you have to be prepared for it. Yeah, it's something that it's hard to get your head around.
How do you prepare for it?
How do you prepare for it? Jump double foot with him? No.
A double foot off.
Yeah, you just got to, I don't know. You just think,
big springs.
You just think he's not going to jump here now, so you kind of don't jump. And then next thing he's boing, double footer, and then clunks him. Yeah, catches you off guard. So
you wait till he kicks 4 off his double
pass
footer.
that information on to Jack Buckley and the boys. Yeah. No doubt they'll be tuning in, Mick. So you're going with the Giants?
Yeah, I've tipped him for the flag.
Yeah, so you'd have to go to the first final. Yeah, I'm the Giants. So I think. Yeah. Is Sam locked in?
I don't think he's locked in, but
he was running laps. So I know when the media team video,
laps.
Yeah, the laps aren't doing it for me yet. I want to see him in team train. You know,
that's not selling anyone.
We've all been doing laps before. When you're doing 2 minute lap, it's not really that quick.
2 minute one lap. That's right.
Very good, Mick. So so far, just to we'll recap three different. We'll recap at the very end, and then we have. At the Gabba, Saturday night, Brisbane Lions taking on Port Adelaide Power. This game is going to be a cracker. We have 2v3. But let me hear it, boys. What do you think, Mick? I'll start with you.
Yeah,
Brisbane are favourites.
Yeah, Brisbane. Yeah, I think the trend's your friend, Tom. Going to make you sick.
We've heard that. It will make me sick. I've heard that too many times.
They haven't lost at the Gabba.
But if I was to go to the casino, right, and it was red.
Oh, you're going black.
Oh, well, it's fucking June.
So who are you tipping?
No, I'm tipping Brisbane. I'm just saying. I think the past doesn't really count for me.
You're talking a game of lady luck, and we're talking humans going against each other. Again, 2v3, you're always going to get. You're not going to have a clear one. You're like, yep, they're emphatically going to win. I just feel like Brisbane. You made a good point. You make very few. In your whole life, you've made very few, but this one was good. The sample size of 3 or 4 years for this group, and kind of some pieces they've plugged in that might not in particular be there. Ashcroft won't be there. Jack Gunston won't be there, but they've Dunkley will be there.
Yeah, man,
but
guys, a big shout out.
Guys that have been able to come in and just add some variety to that
play
program.
A real role. You know what it's like playing a role on. I'd imagine a Butters or, someone like that hasn't probably copped a serious one-on-one tag and work off. Yeah. Or if they have, hasn't
even
had finals implications.
Been given spots with Rich and Gunston out and that. They're just coming in and they're electrifying and good to watch. And now they'll be sticking. They won't be going outside now at all.
You Brisbane?
Yeah, I think it was in Adelaide. I'd be Port. If it's in Gabba, I'm Brisbane. I'm tight.
It was important, wasn't it, that swing?
Yeah, I think it's definitely. See, I'm going with Brisbane too.
I'm going with Brisbane. So if I tip 4 from 4, me and Mickey are level after this week, which would be exciting for the Aces Premiership Countdown.
I don't mind going to Sheridan on the train, to be honest.
We'd have to check. I think it's going to be the lunch with your own cardboard.
Well, you're going to Sheridan if you lose. You'd be so rattled on that train, no stimulation.
Is it a V-line? No, you've done the V-line as a kid in Riddles
but you got to do it 4 times.
Yeah, it'd be disappointing. It'd be very tough.
Bit of me time.
Or last stop Sheridan, everyone off. You're like, well, I'm staying on. Turn this thing around.
They'd come and ask you. I reckon they'd be a bit worried about you.
Mate, you're right. They would be, mate. I'd be sitting there with these packets of natural confectionery, just get myself through. Well, that's great. We've gone through the tips. It's a big week. Finals footy. It's exciting. Brody, anything else for me and Mick before we round out the show? I don't normally ask our guests to ask us questions. But
go.
Well, it's Salcombe in the Turnbull Stakes there. I didn't tip you last week, Tommy, so I'll give you
When's
a tip
that
there.
one on?
A couple of weeks or so, yeah. So
that's good for all the listeners.
Paying $11 at the moment.
$11. I love 11. 11's the number. 11. If I go anywhere, I love legs 11. It's that's good. We like $11.
The roulette table. If it's not whatever it is in the row, he's putting it on 11.
Yeah, I normally go black, which is 11. It's exciting. Finals footy. All the best to everyone. Obviously, shout out to all our aces that have been on. There's so many playing. It's the best part of the time of the year. We've got obviously NFL kicking off on Friday. But before we go, I'm not going to leave you. We got Mickey's. He doesn't like me pumping him up. 16 wins in a row. Did you do that at Richmond?
Oh, we would have been 2018 close, but
don't bring
prelim. We don't.
Don't bring up the war.
We don't I just want you to, Mick. Come on, everyone listening. Werribee Coach of the Year in our books. We don't know who Coach of the Year is yet, but if he wasn't to win it, there'll be an uproar.
I'm hearing word that Mickey's actually the 7th person added to the Richmond head
there a
coaching
7th?
role.
Oh,
There
really?
we added Mickey in. So
I'd be offended
he's,
if I
Hang
wasn't
on,
in the
so
top
all of a
six.
sudden Mick could be
Yeah.
coaching Brody.
Where
and
are
he-
we Tigers to the Richmond Tigers?
You're taking notes off Brody and you might be coaching him
Brody
next
and I
year.
have been down too many rabbit holes to bloody have me over the top of him. No, we're going all right, mate. We won the first final, Box Hill. It was a bit of a shit fight, but that's what it is.
You told me you closed the game down.
I did. My boys with the system. It works the system.
Your system.
Started well, up by 20, and then we kind of held that lead. They came a couple of times, Tom. But our boys responded. Little moments, team acts, all that stuff, which is really important. So we play prelim at home in a couple of Saturdays' time, which will be against Brisbane or Williamstown. And, prelims are it will be the big emphasis on, just staying in that moment and doing the little things well. You can't worry too much about, what's coming or what if this happens or what if that happens or you've really got to test that limit of it's another game.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that and see if we get the result in a
Are
couple
you
of weeks.
a magnet thrower if things aren't going well, or you stick fat?
I've been pretty good. My first year I was off my head. I was throwing pens and it takes you to weird places coaching, but I think in time I've mellowed a lot. Like even the weekend they came and they got within 9 points. And I think we've got a good coaching group that Nick Daffy, former Richmond Tiger, is my senior assistant, who's great for me. We've been together. He's been at Werribee since 2019, so we've had a long-standing relationship. But we kind of know each other really well, and when we're challenged, it's you go through all the scenarios as coaches, so it's all pretty calm in there. And you look out, the crowd gets a bit off, and there might be spot fires going on everywhere, and everyone getting a bit tense. But usually in the box, we've been pretty good.
That's great. Well, mate, all the best.
Thanks, man.
It's going to be exciting. We're going to be watching that journey. The basics, mate.
Basics and on your toes.
On your toes.
Communication. And what was that like?
Communication, on your toes, hand up, and then communication vocal.
And maybe a couple of double.
I'll picture that. I've seen it with Broadies.
If you watch after every single goal, you'll see Grimes do something, Bolter do something, and you'll just see you'll see me there.
Like a ballerina.
Yeah, you'll just see everyone doing their little twerks
And
now.
maybe the double step pump for all your forwards, the Tim Membry. Just see if there's a couple of memories. Say, boys, just like a little double legger.
That's going to be training all next week. Double leggers.
Oh, that's awesome. Brody, thanks for coming on, mate.
Thanks,
Again,
Jane.
congratulations on everything.
Thank you. Well done in the head seat, mate. I thought you were fantastic
Thanks,
today.
mate. Yeah.
No run sheet.
Yeah.
I go better without a run sheet. I mean, if it's in there, and if I leave something out, well, so be it. But just try to stay present.
Just one more, and then we're really gone. All right, because I've got to get going.
We're on schedule here.
Unbelievable because you're on time today. But across I know you've got platforms to do this, but give us one lock of the NFL week 1. Just one lock.
One lock. It'd be Arizona to lose.
Okay, so they're that bad.
But there'd be no value there. So there's a few. I think that if you can ask me a question about, because I haven't got the thing in front of me, but I think the Chargers are your great value for the year.
Okay.
Just saw Kelsey went down today for the Chiefs. And they were saying ACL potentially. It's not. It's something. It might be a crucial. Anyway, it's a 2-week knee injury. But the Chargers are the team that I tipped last year, and I think there's no talk or hype about them. And I obviously go for the Ravens, so I'll be having a little go at them too. But Chargers are my locks weekly.
Beautiful. Great stuff, man. Good work.
Beautiful, guys. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Aces Premiership Countdown. It's finals. It's finals fever, and we can't wait to see what happens this week. So good luck to everyone playing. Shout out to our man Dunks, obviously playing for the Lions, who does the podcast, Ads and Dunks, and everyone else that's been on here. Thanks for your support, and we'll see you next week for another episode of Aces Premiership Countdown. Aces, I know I always talk about the RIXXs, but I got to offer you the discount again. In case you've forgotten, or in case you're sleeping under a rock, we have a special discount code for everyone that listens to this podcast or watch the podcast. It's Aces. Head online to rixeyewear.com.au and use the discount code ACES and you'll get 20% off. That's right, 20% off, 1/5 at checkout and free express shipping. So head online, rixeyewear.com.au and check it out. Confused about what markets to include in your Neds Same Game Multi? Or is the game about to kick off? With Neds' popular Same Game Multi, see what bets are trending with like-minded punters and simply add it straight to your bet slip within the app. Think it needs more? You can customize or add more legs for bigger odds quickly and easily within the Neds app, so you can take it to the Neds level. Take it to the Neds level. Download the Neds app now and look out for the popular same-game multi-tab. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.